My Italian Summer, an inside look into studying abroad, giving you personal testimonies and advice from fellow students who have gone abroad. Hey guys, welcome back. This is the second episode of My Italian Summer, tips and tricks for studying abroad. This is your host, Lauren Solois. Today I have a wonderful guest who I went abroad with this past July, Haley Butler. We will be talking about what the classes were like abroad, how they credited towards our degree paths, and how different or similar the classes abroad were to classes back home. So glad to have you on the show, Haley. Welcome.
Glad to be here and to talk about the classes I took abroad.
On today's episode, we will be discussing what classes were like abroad, how they compared to classes in the States, and overall, how they credited towards our degree paths. Monmouth University partners with Lorenzo de' Medici, the Italian International Institute, to offer its students a study abroad program in Florence, Italy. On Lorenzo de' Medici's website, it says, students can choose from 600 different courses in 39 subject areas, which are taught in English. Haley and I each took 2 courses while studying at Lorenzo de' Medici this past July. Monmouth University's Global Education Office's website, Teradata, says, courses taken in one of our Monmouth global programs have been reviewed and approved by academic chairs to fit into your degree audit as if you were taking them at MU. So Haley, what courses did you take abroad?
I took Italian crime fiction and The Palaces of Florence.
Monmouth University's Global Education Office's website also states, general education courses can be taken abroad as well as major or minor requirements. How did these classes credit towards your degree? Were they general education requirements?
Each class was worth 3 credits. Italian crime fiction counted as my literature, and Palaces of Florence was my aesthetics, which both are general education requirements.
I took Italian Grand Tour, which is also a literature course, in pairing food and wine to fulfill general education requirements just like you. Overall, how did you like your courses in Italy?
I really enjoyed the classes. I especially liked the Palaces of Florence because it gave me a lot of insight into the buildings I was walking past every day.
I really enjoyed my classes too. My Italian Grand Tour course was similar to your Palaces of Florence. I got to learn and see buildings all around Florence. Did you feel these courses gave you some cultural insight into the Italian way of life?
Yes, I definitely learned a lot about the history of Florence in my Palaces class since it focused on the oldest buildings in the city. The Italian crime fiction class definitely gave me insight into the history of crime in all of Italy. I also learned about many Italian authors and watched movies and TV shows that were in Italian, which was very interesting.
My Italian Grand Tour course also taught me a lot about the history of Florence. My pairing food and wine course taught me a lot about the Italian culture surrounded by food and wine by teaching me about their delicacies. Do you think your Italian courses were harder or easier than courses at Monmouth?
I think the classes were very comparable. It was a little harder because the course was compressed into one short month and it took a lot of time management skills to balance homework and traveling.
Time management was definitely integral while abroad with balancing homework with traveling, especially since the courses were jam-packed with a semester's worth of work in 4 weeks. John Cabot University's official admissions blog. It states, student-professor interaction is very limited in Italian universities. Lectures are the most common teaching style in Italian universities, while seminars are usually reserved for juniors and seniors. Does this statement ring true for the experience you had in the classroom abroad?
I believe the statement is true from my experience. I really only had lectures each class and only a few class discussions throughout.
My literature course was mainly lecture-based with a few class trips ingrained, and my food and wine course also had a lot of lecture each day, but mixed with hands-on cooking too. How was the class structure, professors, and overall look and feel of the classes different from the classes you've taken in the States?
The classrooms were a lot smaller, and some of the buildings were over 800 years old. The class structure and professors were similar to America. The professors were very caring and truly wanted all the students to do well in the class. They were also understanding when it came to repeating their lectures due to the language barrier and heavy accents.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining us on the second episode of My Italian Summer, Haley.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it and love to talk about my experiences abroad.
Thank you for listening to my podcast. On the next episode, we will be discussing about traveling on the weekends, such as where we visited, the places that are must-sees, and the cheapest ways to travel. Please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, this was My Italian Summer.